Good afternoon, everyone. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss what are the different types of sampling. So, we have instantaneous sampling, or we can say the ideal or the impulse sampling. Second one is your natural sampling, and the third one is flap top sampling. So, what is ideal sampling or instantaneous sampling or impulse sampling? So, these are the three names for the same type of sampling. Sampling used in the proof of sampling theorem is called ideal or impulse sampling. In this type of sampling, the sampling function is a train of impulses. So you have a different impulse function located at different time instants, and you will receive the signal which you will get after sampling in the form of impulses. The shortcomings of this is impulse train can't be generated. The instantaneous sampling results in the samples whose width approaches zero. As we know that impulse function width is almost tending to zero. So you can say the samples have the width equals to almost tending to zero. Due to this, the power content in the sampled pulse is negligible, and thus this method is not suitable for transmission purpose. The second one is your natural sampling. In natural sampling, the sampling function is a train of pulses having width equals to tau and separated by the sampling time ts. So basically, each we are going to use this function to create the sampling. So the first signal means the signal which is given to us, MT is your baseband signal. We apply sampling to it using sampling signal ST with pulses of finite duration. So you can see that the pulses have a finite duration of tau. You can see from this point to this point. And these pulses are separated by a time interval equals to Ts, or you can say this is your time, sampling time, sampling time interval also, or you can say. So now if we are multiplying these two signals, we will get a third signal GT, which is equals to ST into MT. And we call it as naturally sampled signal. And the main reason why we called it as naturally sampled signal is that it follows the top of the signal follows the pattern of the signal. So if during this duration my signal is going in the upward direction, the top of the sampled waveform will also will be in the same way. You can see it here also. So it's just following the top of the sampled signal will be similar to the baseband signal. So we can observe that the sampled signal consists of a sequence of pulses of varying amplitude. So you can say that they have the varying amplitude whose tops are not flat but follow the waveform of signal MT, as I explained you. Now, if we want to represent it in the form of Fourier series, if you remember that in signals, that Fourier series is used to represent your periodic signals. So this is a periodic signal. The only difference is that this is a sine wave. The only difference is that we are sampling it at certain time instant. Otherwise, it's a sine wave. So we can represent it in the form of Fourier series. So ST will be equals to tau divided by TS, where TS is your time interval. So that will be your first one. And then twice of tau divided by TS. So at when time is equals to 0, we can say the first one is this one. And then you will find this signal on both sides. So on the positive sides also and negative side. That's why we have twice here. And then C1, we are using a cosine wave here, or we can use sine wave also. So if you are using a cosine wave, you will write C1 cos 2 pi T divided by Ts. Cos is having a period of 2 pi always, but we are now doing sampling, so we will divide it by sampling interval. So first one will be at when it's equals to T equals to 1, then it will be equals to 2, and so on. So it will be C1, C2, C3, C4, and so on. So with constant Cn means C1 and C2 are given by Cn will be equals to sine n pi tau divided by Ts divided by n pi tau divided by Ts. This is a sinc function as I explained in the previous lecture, and it will multiplied by tau divided by Ts. Or in generalized form, you can write St will be equals to minus infinite to infinite summation Cn e raised to the power j 2 pi n t divided by t naught, where t naught is equals to Ts is the time period. Or you can say in this case, this is your sampling time interval. Again, we can represent it in the form of sinc function. So it will be sinc of this, and Fs. Ts can be written as your Fs also, because F and frequency and time has inverse relationship between them. So we can say that a signal sampled at the Nyquist rate may be reconstructed exactly by passing the samples through an ideal low pass filter. So if I pass this through an ideal low pass filter, so what's the function of low pass filter? It allows only low frequency to pass through it, and the higher frequencies are blocked by it. So with cutoff frequency at the frequency FM, and the frequency at which the low pass filter is working is FM, where you can say FM is the highest frequency spectral component of the signal. Then GT will be equals to ST into MT, multiply with MT here. So MT will be multiplied to all of them. When you will pass it through a low pass filter, you will receive this part only, and these will be blocked because they have higher frequency component. Cos 2 pi, 2 FMT, cos 2 pi, 4 FMT, and so on. So we'll get this part. Now, this is all in the time domains. Now, if you want to get the interpretation or the representation of this in your frequency domain, then take the Fourier transform of it. So if you take the Fourier transform of it, your Ft will be equals to St into Mt, Fourier transform of this. So St, we know that this is equals to this exponential Fourier series. Gt will be equals to this. So now you can say here, and you will put this value here and this St value here. This value came from here. Then when you will put this equation into this equation inside this equation, then we have this GT will be equals to this. When you will take a Fourier transform of this, it will become sinc NFS tau. This is constant with respect to n. Sorry, there is an n there, sorry. So this is variable with respect to n. This is variable with respect to n. So, but the only function which is variable of t is this one and this one. So this is constant with respect to t. So we'll take the Fourier transform of this part only. And here you will apply the the frequency shifting property, which I did in Fourier transforms, or we did in Fourier transform. So you must know that e raised to the power j omega naught t into xt Fourier transform is mf minus nfs, whatever the value of n here. So it will come here. So the Fourier transform of this part will be tau divided by ts. This part remains same. So it will be Fourier transform of this you have to put here. Just put this Fourier transform here. Or you can say the Fourier transform using this. Put here, you'll get this. So this is the, when you will plot it, this is the spectrum of this signal. If you see, or if you have only MF, then you have a spectrum like this, depending upon your maximum frequency component. But we have variable values of n from minus infinite to infinite. So if we just put this one here, this is minus FM, and then we are shifting on this side, and we are shifting on this side. And you need to notice one more thing, that the amplitude of these triangles are also decreasing. Why they are decreasing? If you see, when you are increasing TS, it will increase the time of this. Sorry, it will decrease the value of the complete function. Why? Because sinc nfs tau means sine nfs tau divided by nfs. So when you will increase the value of n, there is a term nfs tau in the denominator. So there will be a term of nfs tau. So when you will increase the value of n, the amplitude of this will decrease. And this is basically the shifting of them at n equals to, first one is at n equals to 0. This is the first one. Then at n equals to 1, you'll find this means at fs, then n equals to 2 and 1 both sides. The sampling is now natural sampling. You can see that the top of each pulse GT retains the shape of its original analog segment during the pulse interval. Now, question based on it. If you have to calculate the Nyquist rate for the following signal. So this is given to you. I told you Nyquist rate is equals to, greater than or equals to twice of maximum frequency component inside the signal. So we have this signal xt. It has 3 frequency component. The first one is omega 1 is equals to 50 pi. F1 will be then equals to 25 hertz. In a similar way, F2 will be 150 hertz. Omega is equals to, I'm explaining you here, omega is equals to 2 pi f. So 2 pi f means pi will cancel with pi, 50 will be divided by 2, so it will become 25. In a similar way, F2 is 150 hertz, F3 will be 50 hertz. So what's the maximum frequency component here? 150 hertz. So therefore, the maximum frequency present in xt is Fm equals to F2 equals to 150 hertz. So my Nyquist rate then will be equals to twice of Fm. It will be equals to 300 hertz. Now, additions are different than, or subtractions are different from a multiplication. So what will happen is that we have to change this signal first to an addition form or a subtraction form. So we need to apply 2 cos A, cos B. So multiply by 2 here and divide by 2. So it will be 1 divided by 4 pi, 2 cos 4000 pi t into cos 1000 pi t. And then apply cos A plus B plus cos A minus B. So it will be 4000 plus 1000, 5000, 4000 minus 1000, 3000. When you will find the value of omega 1, it will be 500,000 pi. Omega 2 is your 3000 pi. So F1 will be 2500, F2 will be 1500. So FM maximum frequency is your 2500. So Nyquist rate is twice of FM. So that will be equals to twice of 2500. It will be 5 kilowatts. Now the question asks you to find the Nyquist interval also. So the time is inversely proportional to frequency. So you can just find out, put this value here. It will be this 0.2 millisecond.